The international terminal at Incheon Airport fell into an unnatural hush. Captain Lee Seo-jun walked through the departure lounge with a kind of presence that made the air change temperature. His uniform was immaculate, dark navy pressed to perfection, gold stripes gleaming against broad shoulders. His captain's hat tucked beneath one arm. Every woman in the terminal noticed. Flight attendants paused mid-conversation. A businesswoman lowered her newspaper. Two young travelers whispered frantically, phones already lifting. He was tall, sharp-jawed, eyes so cold they burned, and on his left wrist, just visible beneath his pristine cuff, a black serpent tattoo coiled around Korean characters, symbols no civilian would understand. He moved like he owned the airport, perhaps because he did. Across the lounge, seated near the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the tarmac, a woman in an elegant cream blazer didn't look up from her tablet. Daniela Michael. Her dark skin glowed against the morning light. Her natural hair was pulled into a sleek low bun. Gold hoops caught the sun. She was beautiful in a way that required no announcement. And she was the only woman in the terminal who hadn't noticed him. Seo-jun stopped walking. For 3 full seconds, he simply watched her. Then he changed direction. He approached her table with measured steps. "Excuse me." His voice was low, controlled, the kind of voice that made boardrooms fall silent. Daniela finally looked up. Their eyes met. Something flickered in her expression, something she buried instantly. "Yes. The seat beside you. Is it taken?" She studied him. The uniform, the confidence, the way other women were watching with barely concealed envy. "It is," she said calmly. "By my luggage." She returned her attention to her tablet. Lee Seo-jun didn't move. His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. In 36 years, no woman had ever dismissed him so completely. "I apologize for the interruption," he said quietly. He walked away, but his eyes found a reflection in the terminal glass. And they didn't leave. If you're enjoying stories that blend African resilience with Korean romance and suspense, let us know where you're watching from and share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Please like, share, and subscribe. 3 years earlier, Daniela Michael had learned an important lesson about men like Lee Seo-jun. They didn't ask permission. They took. She had loved one once, given him everything, her trust, her secrets, her future. And he had vanished into a world she couldn't follow. Or so she told herself. The truth was more complicated. The truth always was. Now, sitting in Incheon's first-class lounge, she forced herself to focus on the cultural partnership proposal displayed on her tablet. Her company had spent months negotiating this deal, a collaboration between Nigerian tourism boards and Korean entertainment agencies. It was important work that didn't involve handsome pilots with cold eyes and serpent tattoos. Her phone buzzed. A message from her youngest sister, Amora. "Tell me you didn't just reject Captain Lee Seo-jun. It's already on Twitter. You're famous, sis." Daniela's stomach dropped. She opened the app with trembling fingers. The video was grainy but clear enough. Someone had recorded the entire interaction. The pilot approaching. Her dismissal. His retreat. The comments were merciless. Did she just reject the most eligible pilot in Asia? Queen behavior, honestly. She doesn't know who he is. Trust me, she'll regret this. That's Lee Seo-jun, flight captain and rumored billionaire. Girl made a mistake. Daniela's throat tightened. She knew exactly who he was. That was the problem. Earlier that morning, Captain Lee Seo-jun had arrived at the airport 3 hours before his scheduled flight to Lagos. Unusual for him. His co-pilot, Park Minute-ho, noticed immediately. "You're early," Minute-ho said, falling into step beside him. "That's not like you." Seo-jun didn't respond. His attention was fixed on the departure board. Lagos, flight KE 507, departing 11:45. The same flight a certain Nigerian travel consultant was booked on. He had received the passenger manifest that morning. Her name had stopped his breath. Daniela Michael. 3 years. 3 years since she had disappeared from his life without explanation, without warning, without a single word. He had searched for her, quietly at first, then desperately. His network spanned 4 continents. He had resources that governments envied. And still, She had evaded him. Until now. The pre-flight briefing is in 40 minutes. Minute-ho said carefully, watching his captain's expression. Should I handle it? No. Seo-jun adjusted his cuff, ensuring the serpent tattoo remained hidden. I'll handle everything personally today. Minute-ho knew better than to ask why. Across the terminal, Daniela gathered her belongings with forced calm. Her hands weren't steady. She refused to acknowledge why. He's just a pilot, she told herself. A stranger. You rejected a stranger. That's all. But her heart knew the truth. 3 years ago, Lee Seo-jun hadn't been a stranger. He had been everything. She had met him in Tokyo during a cultural exchange conference. He wasn't wearing a pilot's uniform then, just a perfectly tailored black suit that made him look like he'd stepped out of a magazine. He had approached her at the hotel bar, not with arrogance, not with entitlement, with curiosity. You're the only person in this room who hasn't tried to network, he had said, his Korean accent smoothing his English into something musical. Why? Because I came here to learn, she had replied, not to collect business cards. He had smiled then. It was the only time she had ever seen him smile. They had talked until the bar closed, then walked through Tokyo's neon-lit streets until dawn painted the sky pink. By the end of that week, she was falling. By the end of that month, she had fallen completely. And then, she had received the photograph, the warning, and everything had shattered. Present day, Daniela boarded the flight to Lagos with her heart hammering against her ribs. First class was nearly empty. Just her, a Korean businessman absorbed in documents, and an elderly couple speaking softly in French. She settled into her window seat and closed her eyes. 11 hours, she thought. 11 hours and you'll never see him again. The cabin door sealed. The intercom crackled. Good morning, passengers. This is Captain Lee Seo-jun speaking. Her eyes flew open. On behalf of the entire crew, welcome aboard Korean A Flight KE-507 to Lagos. Our flight time today will be approximately 13 hours and 45 minutes. We're expecting smooth conditions for most of the journey. His voice filled the cabin like smoke. Low, controlled, intimate despite the professional words. Please relax and enjoy the flight. We'll take excellent care of you. The intercom clicked off. Daniela couldn't breathe. He's the pilot. He's flying this plane. He's flying me. She gripped the armrest until her knuckles ached. This wasn't coincidence. Men like Lee Seo-jun didn't believe in coincidence. 2 hours into the flight, the first-class cabin had dimmed for the overnight portion of the journey. Daniela hadn't slept. She couldn't. Every announcement from the cockpit sent electricity through her veins. Every mention of his voice made her chest constrict. The flight attendant, a beautiful Korean woman with perfect posture, approached his seat for the third time. Ms. Michael, the captain has requested I ensure you have everything you need. Daniela's blood ran cold. I'm perfectly fine. Thank you. Of course. The attendant smiled professionally. The captain asked me to deliver this personally. She placed a small envelope on Daniela's tray table. No name on the front. Just thick cream paper sealed with black wax. Daniela waited until the attendant left before opening it with trembling fingers. Inside was a single sheet of paper. Handwritten. His handwriting. She would recognize it anywhere. 3 years ago, you disappeared. You left no explanation. No goodbye. I searched for you across 4 continents. I never stopped. Tonight, you're seated 40 feet from my cockpit. You rejected me in public this morning. But we both know the truth, Daniela. We both know you never stopped loving me either. S. The letter shook in her hands. Her vision blurred with tears she refused to shed. He never stopped searching. He never stopped. She had spent 3 years convincing herself that leaving was the right choice. That protecting him meant staying away forever. But sitting in his plane, surrounded by his world, reading his words, the wall she had built began to crack. 7 hours into the flight, Daniela must have slept eventually. She woke to turbulence. Not the gentle kind, the kind that made the cabin shake, that sent the flight attendant scrambling. The intercom crackled. This is Captain Lee. We're experiencing some unexpected weather patterns. Please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened. We'll be through this shortly. His voice was calm, impossibly calm. as if flying through chaos was nothing. The businessman across the aisle gripped his armrest. The elderly French couple held hands tightly. Daniela stayed out the window at the darkness beyond. Lightning flickered in the distance. The plane shuddered again. And then, stillness. Complete, perfect stillness. We've cleared the turbulence, Seo-jun announced. Smooth skies ahead. Thank you for your patience. The cabin exhaled collectively. Daniela's heart didn't slow. Not because of the weather, because she realized something terrible. Even now, even after everything, she trusted him completely. She had trusted him with her life for the past 7 hours without hesitation. That kind of trust didn't die. It only hid. 30 minutes before landing, Lagos sparkled beneath the descending aircraft. Daniela watched the city she loved emerge from the darkness. The scattered lights, the familiar coastline, the chaos and beauty of home. But her mind wasn't on Nigeria. It was on the man in the cockpit. The man she had fled 3 years ago because a photograph had shown her what he really was. Not just a pilot, not just a businessman. The photograph had shown her Lee Seo-jun standing in a warehouse surrounded by men in black suits. His sleeve rolled up, his serpent tattoo fully visible. And at his feet, she still couldn't think about what had been at his feet. The message attached to the photograph had been clear. Leave him now, or we show this to every authority in Asia. We destroy him. We destroy you. Disappear tonight. She had disappeared, not because she stopped loving him, but because she loved him too much to watch him burn. Lagos Murtala Muhammad International Airport. The plane touched down flawlessly. Of course it did. Everything he did was flawless. Passengers began gathering their belongings. The cabin buzzed with the energy of arrival. Daniela remained seated. She wasn't ready to leave. Wasn't ready to walk away from him again. The first-class cabin emptied slowly. The attendants began their post-flight duties. Still, she sat today. The cockpit door opened. Footsteps approached. She didn't turn around. You didn't respond to my letter. His voice, right behind her, close enough to touch. She closed her eyes. I didn't know how. Silence stretched between them. Heavy, loaded. 3 years of silence compressed into a single moment. You left without a word, he said quietly. You vanished. You made me believe you were dead. Her throat constricted. I had to. Why? She finally turned. He stood in the aisle, his captain's hat removed, his dark hair perfectly styled despite 13 hours of flight. His jaw was sharper than she remembered. His eyes colder. But beneath the ice, she saw the same man who had walked Tokyo's streets with her until dawn. The same man who had held her face in his hands and promised her forever. Because someone showed me what you really are, she whispered. And they threatened to destroy you if I didn't leave. His expression didn't change, but something flickered in his gaze. What did they show you? She couldn't answer. The words wouldn't come. Daniela. His voice dropped lower, more dangerous. What did they show you? A warehouse, she breathed. Men in suits. Your tattoo. And she stopped. His jaw tightened. And a body on the floor, he finished for her. Her silence confirmed everything. He stepped closer, close enough that she could smell his cologne, sandalwood and something darker. That photograph was taken 6 years ago, he said quietly. The man on the floor was Kim Dong-won. He had been selling weapons to a group that targeted Korean schools. Daniela's breath caught. I didn't kill him because I enjoyed it. I killed him because 63 children would have died if I hadn't. Her eyes burned with unshed tears. The people who sent you that photograph, he continued, knew exactly what it would do to you. They knew you would leave. They wanted you to leave. Who? She whispered. Who sent it? His gaze hardened. My enemies. The word hung between them like smoke. You have enemies, she repeated numbly. Because I am what I am. He didn't elaborate. He didn't need to. She had spent 3 years researching. 3 years piecing together fragments of his hidden world. She knew about the empire, the network, the blood. You're a Mafia boss, she said quietly. The Black Crown. I found the name eventually. He didn't flinch. Yes. And you're also a pilot. Also yes. How? A ghost of something, almost amusement, crossed his features. One identity pays for the other, and the plane gives me access to places my other self cannot reach. It was insane. All of it. The hidden empire, the double life, the violence concealed beneath pressed uniforms and professional calm. And yet, she wasn't afraid. She had never been afraid of him, only of what loving him might cost. Lagos, 3 hours later. Daniela stood on the balcony of her family's estate in Victoria Island. The compound sprawled across 2 acres of prime waterfront property, a testament to her family's legacy in Nigerian oil and international trade. She had never told Seojun about this, about the wealth hidden behind her professional title, about the security details that shadowed her movements, about the family name that opened doors across West Africa. She had wanted him to see her, not her inheritance. Danny. Her mother's voice drifted from inside. Ngozi Michael appeared in the doorway, elegant, formidable, and currently eyeing her eldest daughter with maternal suspicion. You've been on that balcony for 2 hours. You haven't eaten. You haven't called your sister. And you have that look. What look? The look you had when you came home from Tokyo 3 years ago and cried for a week straight. Daniela's chest tightened. I'm fine, Mama. You're lying. Ngozi stepped onto the balcony. Tell me who he is. There's no. Daniela Chinya Michael. The full name. Delivered with maternal authority that could stop traffic. Daniela sighed. Someone I used to know. Someone you used to love. Mama. I raised 4 daughters. I know the difference between know and love. That man in the airport video. The pilot. He's the one. Isn't he? The one who shattered you. Daniela couldn't respond. Her mother's expression softened. Whatever happened between you, Ngozi said quietly, whatever made you run, you need to face it. Hiding only delays the pain. It never prevents it. I wasn't hiding. You relocated 3 times in 18 months. You changed your phone number twice. You told your family nothing. Ngozi's eyes held both love and accusation. That's not traveling for work, my daughter. That's running. The truth landed like a blow. Because her mother was right. She had been running. From him. From the photograph. From the truth about who he was and what loving him meant. But he had found her anyway. And now she had to decide whether to keep running or finally face the fire. The following morning, Daniela woke to chaos. Her sister Amora burst into her bedroom without knocking, phone thrust forward like a weapon. You need to see this. Now. Still groggy, Daniela took the phone. It was a news alert from a Korean entertainment site. Captain Lee Seojun spotted in Lagos, Nigeria. Sources confirm extended personal stay. Her blood turned to ice. His still hey. Apparently he didn't fly back with the crew. Amora's eyes were wide with a mixture of alarm and excitement. Danny, who is this man? The internet is losing its mind. They think he followed you. He had. Of course he had. I need to shower, Daniela said distantly. And then, her phone buzzed. An unknown number. Lagos prefix. She answered without thinking. Hello. Your security detail is excellent. His voice. Calm as ever. But they missed the camera I placed near your eastern gate last night. Her heart stopped. You're watching my house. I'm watching you, he corrected. As I have been for 3 years. You simply didn't notice. That's protective, he finished. Not possessive. There's a difference. Is there? Silence. Then, meet me. Tonight. The Lagos Continental. Penthouse floor. 8 o'clock. And if I refuse, then I'll wait in the lobby until you arrive. That could be forever. Then I'll wait forever. The call ended. Daniela stayed at the phone in her hand. He wasn't asking. He was declaring. And she knew, with a certainty that terrified her, that she would go. That evening, Lagos Continental Hotel. The lobby of the Lagos Continental Hotel was designed to intimidate. Soaring ceilings. Italian marble floors. Crystal chandeliers that cost more than most houses. Daniela walked through it all without flinching. She had grown up in rooms like this. She had chosen to walk away from them, had built a career on her own merits, not her family's connections. But tonight, she wasn't thinking about status. She was thinking about the man waiting 30 floors above her. The elevator ride was silent. Her reflection stared back at her from the mirrored walls. A woman in a fitted black dress, gold jewelry gleaming against dark skin, natural hair released into full glory. She had dressed carefully. Not for him, she told herself. For herself. The elevator opened directly into the penthouse. And there he was. Lee Seo-jun stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, Lagos sprawling beneath him like a kingdom of lights. He had changed from his pilot's uniform into something more dangerous, a black tailored suit that made him look like he'd stepped out of a noir film. His collar was open, and there, just visible against his collarbone, another tattoo, a crown encircled by thorns. The black crown. "You came," he said without turning. "You knew I would. I hoped." She stopped 10 feet from him, close enough to see, far enough to run. "Why are you really here?" she asked. "In Lagos. In my city." He turned slowly. His eyes found hers and held. "Because 3 years ago, you asked me if I could imagine a life without the empire. Without the blood. Without the darkness." Her breath caught. She remembered that conversation. Tokyo. His apartment. Dawn breaking through the windows while she lay in his arms. "Could you ever walk away?" she had asked. "Would you want me to?" "I want you to be free. I'm only free when I'm with you." "I remember," she whispered now. "I spent 3 years answering that question." He stepped closer. 3 years dismantling pieces of the empire, transferring leadership, creating exits that wouldn't get me killed. Her heart stuttered. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I'm not the Black Crown anymore." His voice dropped. "Not entirely. I've stepped back, delegated, created distance." "Why?" "Because you asked me to imagine it." Another step closer, and I couldn't stop imagining it. A life with you, children with your eyes, a home where I didn't have to hide who I am. Taze blurred her vision. "Seo-jun, I know you left to protect me." He was close now, close enough to touch. "I know they threatened you. I know you believed you were saving my life. I was trying to." "I know." His hand lifted. His fingers grazed her cheek with devastating gentleness. "And I'm telling you that I don't need to be saved. I need you." The tears fell. She couldn't stop them. "I'm not who you think I am," she whispered. "My family, we have money, power, connections. I never told you because I wanted you to see me. Not." "I know about the Michael family," he said quietly. "I've known for years. It doesn't change anything. You investigated me. I investigated everyone who might have threatened you. Your family came up. Your wealth. Your father's oil contracts. Your mother's political connections. She should have been angry. She wasn't. So you know everything." "I know enough." His thumb traced her cheekbone. "I know you're brave, stubborn, impossibly kind. I know you sing when you think no one's listening. I know you can't sleep without white noise. I know you carry the weight of everyone else's problems because you think your own don't matter." Her breath shuddered. "I know you love your family more than yourself. I know you've been lonely for 3 years because you sacrificed your heart to protect mine. Seo-jun." "And I know," he whispered, "that despite everything, despite the photograph, the threats, the fear, you never stopped loving me. Just like I never stopped loving you." The words broke something open inside her, something she had locked away 3 years ago. "I was so scared," she admitted, voice cracking. "When I saw that photograph, when I imagined you in prison, destroyed, dead, I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. All I knew was that I had to disappear before they hurt you. They hurt us both by making you leave. I know that now. Do you?" His gaze intensified. "Do you understand that the past 3 years have been the longest of my life? That I searched every city, every database, every shadow, and still couldn't find you? I'm sorry. Don't apologize." His other hand rose to frame her face. "Just stay. This time, stay." She looked into his eyes. The coldness was gone. In its place, something raw, vulnerable, achingly human. "The people who threatened me," she said carefully. "Who were they? Why did they want us apart?" His jaw tightened. "A rival family. They wanted to destabilize me through you. They knew that losing you would break something in me." "Did it?" "Yes. The admission hung between them. I burned their network to the ground, he continued quietly. Every person involved in that photograph, that threat, they've been neutralized. They can never touch you again. She should have been horrified. She wasn't. You killed them. Some. Others simply cease to exist as threats. And you don't feel guilty. I feel protective. His grip on her face tightened almost imperceptibly. There's nothing I wouldn't do to keep you safe. Nothing I wouldn't burn. Nothing I wouldn't become. It was a declaration, a warning, a promise. That's terrifying, she whispered. Yes. And also, she swallowed. Also the most romantic thing anyone has ever said to me. Something shifted in his expression. Almost a smile. Almost. You have a strange definition of romance. I have a strange life. Silence fell, heavy with possibility. What happens now? She asked. That depends on you. His thumbs traced slow circles on her cheekbones. I won't force you into my world. I won't trap you. But I'm asking, begging, you to choose me. Choose this. Choose us. She thought about everything. The photograph. The fae. The 3 years of running. The man standing before her now. Scarred. Dangerous. Powerful. And absolutely devoted. I never stopped choosing you, she admitted. Even when I left. Even when I hid. You were still the only one I wanted. His breath caught. Daniela. But I have conditions. He waited. Complete honesty. From now on, no more hidden photographs. No more secrets that could destroy us. Done. And my family needs to know who you really are. All of it. They deserve the truth. A flicker of hesitation crossed his features. Your family knowing could put them at risk. My family has their own security. Their own resources. They can handle it. He studied her. Calculating. Assessing. Finally, agreed. And one more thing. Name it. She stepped closer, eliminating the distance between them entirely. I want you to kiss me. Right now, before I lose my nerve and run again. For a moment, he simply looked at her. Those cold eyes, not cold anymore. Burning. Then his mouth found hers. The kiss was everything she remembered and nothing she expected. Gentle at first. Testing. Asking permission. Then deeper. Hungrier. 3 years of longing compressed into a single perfect moment. Her hands found his shoulders. His arms wrapped around her waist. The city glittered below them. Forgotten. When they finally broke apart, both of them were breathing hard. I should warn you, he murmured against her lips. About what? I don't shay. I don't forgive easily. And once you're mine, truly mine, I will never let you go again. That sounds like a threat. It's a promise. She smiled. For the first time in 3 years. Then I accept. 3 weeks later, Victoria Island. The dinner was a disaster waiting to happen. Daniela watched her family gather around the long mahogany table with growing dread. Her father, Chief Olyamide Michael, sat at the head, silver-haired, stern, the kind of man who had built an empire through sheer force of will. Her mother occupied the opposite end, elegant as always, eyes missing nothing. Her 3 sisters filled the remaining seats. Amora, the youngest, practically vibrating with curiosity. Ifeanyi, the middle daughter, coolly skeptical. And Adiz, the eldest after Daniela, visibly protective. And across from Daniela, Lee Seo-jun, perfectly composed, impeccably dressed, and about to tell her family that he was the secret head of a criminal empire spanning 4 continents. So, Chief Michael began, his deep voice filling the room. You're the pilot my daughter rejected in Seoul. Yes, sir. And you followed her to Lagos. Yes, sir. Across an ocean. Without invitation. Yes, sir. A heavy pause. Either you're very brave, Chief Michael observed, or very foolish. Possibly both, sir. To Daniela's shock, her father laughed. I like him already, Ngozi murmured. Anyone who can admit fault has my respect. He hasn't admitted any faults yet, Ifeanyi pointed out coolly. He's admitted to stalking. Protective surveillance, Seo-jun corrected mildly. Is there a difference? The intent. Ifeanyi's eyes narrowed. This was already going badly. Mr. Lee. Chief Michael leaned forward. My daughter tells me there are things about your background that require explanation. She was frustratingly vague on the details. Perhaps you'd like to elaborate. The moment had arrived. Daniela reached under the table and squeezed Seo-jun's hand. He didn't look at her. His attention remained fixed on her father. Chief Michael, he began, my public identity is Captain Lee Seo-jun, commercial airline pilot for Korean Air. I've held that position for 12 years. Impressive. My private identity is somewhat different. The table went still. I am, or was, until recently, the head of an organization that operates across multiple continents. Some would call it a business conglomerate. Others would use different terminology, such as, if Yunanya pressed, Seo-jun's gaze shifted to her, such as syndicate, network, empire, silence. Chief Michael's expression didn't change. You're telling me, he said slowly, that my daughter is involved with a criminal. Former, sir. I've stepped back from direct operations. But you haven't dismantled the organization. No, that would be impossible. Then you're still connected to it. Yes. More silence. Amora broke it first. This is insane, she breathed, eyes wide. Danny, you're dating a mafia boss. Former. That's what he keeps saying. Amora looked around the table. Is no one else freaking out right now? I'm processing, Adiz said carefully, which is different from freaking out. I'm definitely freaking out, if Yunanya confirmed. I'm intrigued, Ngozi admitted. Every head turned to their mother. What? Ngozi shrugged elegantly. The man flew across an ocean for our daughter. He clearly has resources, loyalty, and determination. Those are admirable qualities. He also has a body count. If Yunanya exclaimed, so does your father. The table went absolutely silent. Chief Michael's expression flickered. The oil business, Ngozi continued smoothly, is not without its complications. Competitors who disappeared, obstacles that were removed, business partners who met unfortunate ends. That's different, Chief Michael protested. Is it? Daniela stared at her parents. She had never suspected. My point, Ngozi said, is that power rarely comes without sacrifice. The question isn't whether Mr. Lee has blood on his hands. The question is whether he would ever harm our daughter. Every eye turned to Seo-jun. He met Ngozi's gaze directly. Mrs. Michael, I would burn the world before I allowed anyone to hurt Daniela. I would dismantle my entire empire. I would destroy myself. She is not leverage to me. She is not a possession. She is the only thing in my life that has ever felt sacred. The words hung in the air, heavy with sincerity. Ngozi smiled slightly. Well then. She lifted her wine glass. Welcome to the family. Later that night, Daniela found Seo-jun on the terrace, staring out at the dark water of the lagoon. That went better than expected, she said, joining him at the railing. Your father tried to have me investigated 3 times during dinner. I blocked each attempt. How do you know? Because I control most of the databases he was trying to access. She laughed despite herself. You're terrifying. Only to people who threaten what I love. Her heart stuttered. You've never said that before. Not directly. He turned to face her. Said what? That you love me. His expression softened almost imperceptibly. Daniela. He reached for her hand. I have loved you since Tokyo. Since the first moment you refused to network at that conference. Since you looked at me like I was just a man. Not a name, not a title, not a threat. You were very charming. I was terrified. A slight smile. You were the most beautiful woman I had ever seen. And completely unimpressed by everything I thought mattered. Money doesn't impress me. I know. Power doesn't impress me. I know that too. What impresses me, she said softly, is honesty, vulnerability, the willingness to change. His thumb traced circles on her palm. I've changed more in the past 3 weeks than in the past decade. Because of me. Because of us. She stepped closer, pressing her forehead against his shoulder. I love you too, she whispered. In case that wasn't obvious. His arms wrapped around her. Tight. Protective. Claiming. It was obvious, he murmured into her hair. but I'll never tire of hearing it. They stood together in the darkness, the Lagos skyline glittering in the distance, the future stretching before them like an unwritten story. And for the first time in 3 years, they weren't running. 1 month later, Seoul. Returning to Korea felt different this time. Daniela had visited Seoul before. Briefly, professionally, always with an undercurrent of fear. Fear that she might see him. Fear that her carefully constructed distance might crumble. Now she walked through the city openly, with him by her side. This is where you live. She stared at the towering glass building in Gangnam. This entire building. Just the top 3 floors. Just the top 3 floors, she repeated flatly. He smiled slightly. The rest is office space. Companies I own. How many companies do you own? Directly, 17. Indirectly, several hundred. Several hundred. The empire is complicated. Clearly. He guided her through the private elevator, his palm warm against the small of her back. The penthouse was exactly what she expected. Sleek, modern, dominated by dark colors and sharp lines. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the Han River. But there were surprises too. A bookshelf crammed with worn paperbacks. A small kitchen with actual cooking supplies. And in the corner of the living room. Is that a piano? I play, he admitted. Badly. You play piano. My mother insisted. Before she died. His mother. He had never mentioned her before. When did she pass? When I was 12. His expression remained neutral. Cancer. The empire couldn't save her. I'm sorry. It was a long time ago. But the pain was still there. She could see it beneath the ice. Will you play for me sometime? He studied her. If you want. I do. 3 days later. The problem started at a charity gala. Seo-jun had reluctantly agreed to attend. Something about maintaining public relations for his legitimate businesses. Daniela wore a stunning emerald gown that made her dark skin glow. Her hair was styled in elegant twists. Gold jewelry complemented the look. Every eye in the room noticed her, including eyes that shouldn't have been there. Who is that? She asked, noticing a man watching them from across the ballroom. Tall, handsome, sharp features. Korean. Seo-jun's expression hardened almost imperceptibly. Choi Jun-won, head of a rival family. We have history. Bad history. The worst kind. Jun-won was already approaching. Seo-jun. He stopped a few feet away, his smile not reaching his eyes. I heard you'd returned from Africa. Didn't expect to see you at such a public event. Expectations are meant to be defied. Jun-won's gaze slid to Daniela and lingered. And this must be the woman. The one you've been chasing across continents. Daniela met his stare directly. My name is Daniela, not the woman. Something flickered in Jun-won's expression. Interest. Calculation. Danger. Daniela. He rolled her name around his tongue. Beautiful name. Beautiful woman. Seo-jun stepped slightly forward, positioning himself between them. The gala is for charity, Jun-won. Not recruitment. Who said anything about recruitment? Jun-won's smile widened. I'm simply appreciating your acquisition. I'm not an acquisition, Daniela cut in. And if you have business with Seo-jun, conduct it elsewhere. We're trying to enjoy our evening. Jun-won's eyebrows rose. She speaks for herself. She speaks because she has a voice. Daniela didn't flinch. Something men like you seem to forget about women. Silence. Then, incredibly, Jun-won laughed. I like her. He directed this at Seo-jun. I understand now why you turned the world upside down to find her. If you understand, then you'll also understand why threatening her would be unwise. The laughter died. I don't threaten, Seo-jun. I promise. Jun-won's eyes hardened. And I promise that our business is far from finished. He walked away. Daniela exhaled slowly. What was that about? A warning. Seo-jun's hand found hers. And a test. Did I pass? His gaze softened. You were magnificent. 1 week later, the photograph arrived in an unmarked envelope. Daniela found it slipped under the door of their penthouse. A black and white image showing her walking through a Lagos market. Alone. From 3 years ago. The message on the back was simple. We warned you once. You didn't listen. Now we're warning him. The Black Crown falls tonight. Don't bother running. You've been located. Her blood ran cold. The people who had separated them 3 years ago. They were back, and they were coming for both of them. She immediately called Seo-jun. No answer. She called again. Voicemail. Something was very wrong. She grabbed her phone, her jacket, her keys, and the elevator doors opened. 3 men in black suits stepped into the penthouse. Behind them, perfectly composed in a charcoal suit, Choi Jun-won. Good evening, Daniela. His smile was pleasant, almost friendly. I believe we have unfinished business to discuss. Where is Seo-jun? Currently detained. A temporary situation. He stepped forward. The Black Crown has been a thorn in my family's side for 15 years. Your disappearance 3 years ago weakened him, made him careless, human. You sent the photograph. My father did. Before I took over. I'm simply continuing the tradition. What do you want? What I've always wanted. He stopped a few feet from her. The complete destruction of Lee Seo-jun. And you, my dear, are going to help me achieve it. Across the city, Lee Seo-jun woke in darkness. His head throbbed. His wrists were bound. The air smelled like rust and concrete. A warehouse. Someone had actually managed to capture him. The irony was not lost on him. You awake. A figure emerged from the shadows. Not Jun-won, someone else. A woman. Korean. Beautiful. Cold. Kim Soo-yeon, he recognized. Jun-won's sister. Half-sister. She crouched before him. You killed our father 12 years ago. Your father deserved worse. Perhaps. Her head tilted. But blood demands blood, Captain Lee. Surely you understand that. If you're going to kill me, do it quickly. Kill you. She laughed softly. That would be too simple. No, we have something much more elegant planned. She produced a phone, showed him the screen. The feed showed a live camera. Daniela, seated in a chair, her hands bound. Jun-won standing behind her with a knife to her throat. Seo-jun's blood turned to ice. Here's how this works, Soo-yeon purred. You sign over every asset, every account, every business. Complete financial annihilation. And if I refuse, then Jun-won opens her throat. If you hurt her, you're what? You're bound. Alone. Your security is compromised. She smiled. You have no power here, Black Crown. For the first time in your life, you're helpless. She wasn't wrong, but she had made one critical mistake. She had assumed he was working alone. There's something you should know, he said quietly. What? Daniela isn't just my woman. Soo-yeon's eyes narrowed. She's the daughter of Chief Olumide Michael, one of the most powerful men in West Africa. A flicker of uncertainty crossed her features. So her family has resources too. Networks. Security. And they were notified the moment I went silent. Soo-yeon's face paled slightly. You're bluffing. Check your perimeter. She hesitated. Then her phone buzzed. Her expression shifted from confidence to alarm as she read the message. What? The Michael family doesn't negotiate with kidnappers, Seo-jun said calmly. They eliminate them. Gunfire erupted outside. Soo-yeon's head whipped toward the sound. Tell your brother to surrender now, Seo-jun continued, before my future father-in-law's security team reaches the penthouse. This is impossible. The warehouse door exploded inward. Nigerian special forces, private contractors that Chief Michael kept on retainer, flooded the space. Soo-yeon reached for her weapon. She never touched it. The lead contractor, a massive man with tribal scarification, disarmed her in a single fluid motion. Captain Lee. He produced a knife and cut Seo-jun's bonds. We have 30 minutes before police arrive. The other target. Gangnam penthouse. Choi Jun-won has her. We know. The man handed Seo-jun a phone. Chief Michael is on the line. Seo-jun took the call. Mr. Lee. Chief Michael's voice was steel wrapped in velvet. My daughter. Being retrieved as we speak. And the people responsible. Seo-jun looked at Soo-yeon, now bound and bleeding from a cut on her forehead. Being handled. I expect a full report. You'll have it. And Mr. Lee. Yes. Welcome to the family. The call ended. Seo-jun pocketed the phone, turned to the contractor. Take me to her. Now. Gangnam penthouse, 18 minutes later. The door exploded inward. Junwon barely had time to turn before Seo-jun was on him, a whirlwind of contained violence that lasted exactly 4 seconds. When it ended, Junwon was on the floor with a broken arm, and Daniela was in Seo-jun's arms. Are you hurt? No. Her voice shook. No, I'm okay. He didn't. She couldn't finish. His arms tightened around her. It's over. They are finished. Your face. She touched the bruise forming on his cheekbone. They hurt you. They tried. Seo-jun. I'm fine. He pulled back enough to look at her. Your family sent help. Your father's security. My father. Apparently, he was already having Junwon's network monitored. A slight smile. He doesn't trust me yet, but has apparently decided I'm worth protecting. She laughed, a broken, relieved sound. That sounds like Papa. Behind them, Junwon groaned. Seo-jun turned. His expression went cold. What do we do with him? Daniela asked. Korean authorities have been notified, along with Interpol. He crouched beside Junwon. Your empire is finished. Your family's assets are being seized. Your sister is in custody. Junwon's eyes blazed with hatred. This isn't over. Yes. Seo-jun's voice was ice. It is. 2 months later, Lagos. The wedding was not small. 200 guests gathered at the Michael family compound. Nigerian dignitaries, Korean business leaders, family from 3 continents. Daniela wore a gown that blended traditional Nigerian elements with modern Korean design, flowing white fabric embroidered with gold, a magnificent jewel crowning her natural hair. Seo-jun waited at the altar in a traditional Korean hanbok, modified with subtle Nigerian patterns. 2 cultures, 2 families, 1 love. Chief Michael walked his daughter down the aisle with tears in his eyes, a sight no one in attendance had ever witnessed. Ngozi smiled from the front row, her hand pressed to her heart. Daniela's sisters served as bridesmaids, each wearing emerald green. And when the officiant asked the eternal question, "Do you take this woman?" Seo-jun's answer was immediate. In every language, in every world, in every lifetime, yes. The crowd erupted, but Daniela heard only his voice, felt only his hands taking hers, saw only his eyes, finally, completely, warm. And do you take this man? She smiled, the first completely unguarded smile she had given anyone since Tokyo. I rejected him once, she said, in an airport, in front of the whole world. Laughter rippled through the crowd. I rejected him because I was afraid, because I thought loving him would destroy us both. She squeezed his hands. I was wrong. I choose him, she continued. The pilot, the businessman, the man who searched for me across 4 continents, the man who burned empires and built bridges, the man who waited. Her voice cracked. I choose all of him, forever. The officiant barely had time to pronounce the marriage before Seo-jun kissed her. Not gently, not restrained. 3 years of waiting compressed into a single perfect moment. The crowd cheered. Cameras flashed. And somewhere in the back of the gathering, Seo-jun's former second-in-command leaned toward another associate. The Black Crown is married. No. The associate smiled slightly. The Black Crown is happy. First time I've ever seen it. What happens to the empire now? Now. The associate watched the newlyweds break apart, watched Seo-jun lift Daniela's hand to his lips with devastating tenderness. Now it becomes something different, something worth protecting. A legacy, a family. 6 months later, Seoul. The apartment was quiet. Daniela stood at the window of their Gangnam penthouse, watching the city lights flicker below. One hand rested on the curve of her growing belly. Footsteps approached behind her, arms wrapped around her waist. You should be sleeping. His voice was soft, concerned. I can't sleep when you're working. I was reviewing security protocols. At 3 a.m. Old habits. She leaned back against him. The baby kicked again. His hand immediately moved to her belly. They waited in silence. Then, a flutter, a push. His breath caught. "There," she whispered. "Feel that?" He didn't respond. She turned to look at him. His eyes were bright. "Wet. Seo-jun. I never imagined this." His voice was rough. "Never imagined a life where I would have." He couldn't finish. She reached up to touch his face. "You have it now. I don't deserve." "You do." Her voice was firm. "You survived. You changed. You chose a different path. Because of you. Because of us." He pressed his forehead to hers. "I love you. I know. I'll spend the rest of my life proving it." "I know that too." She kissed him softly. "Now come to bed. Your child needs their father rested." He smiled. Actually smiled. A real smile that reached his eyes. And let her lead him away from the window, away from the empire, away from the darkness. Into the light. Into the future. Into love. Daniela had chosen him. Seo-jun had chosen her. Two families, two worlds, united by a love that survived betrayal, distance, and danger. But the past never stays buried. And someone from Seo-jun's world, someone he thought long dead, has been watching their happiness from shadows. Waiting, planning, ready to tear everything apart. The phone on the nightstand buzzed. An unknown number. Seo-jun answered. The voice on the other end made his blood run cold. "Hello, nephew. It's been 15 years. Did you really think I would let you inherit everything and live happily ever after?" The line went dead. And in that moment, Lee Seo-jun realized that the war he thought was over had only just begun. The phone slipped from Seo-jun's fingers. It hit the marble floor with a sound that seemed impossibly loud in the silent penthouse. Daniela turned immediately, her hand still resting on her belly. "What is it?" He didn't answer. Couldn't answer. His uncle, Lee Myung-ho, the man who had taught him everything about the empire. The man who had groomed him for leadership since childhood. The man who had supposedly died in a warehouse fire 15 years ago, a fire Seo-jun himself had ordered. "Seo-jun." Daniela's voice sharpened with concern. "Talk to me." He looked at her. His wife. His pregnant wife. The only person in the world who made him feel human. "We need to leave Seoul," he said quietly. "Tonight." 3 hours later, the private jet lifted off from Jimpo Airport in complete darkness. No flight plan filed. No passenger manifest recorded. The aircraft belonged to a shell company buried under 17 layers of corporate obscurity. Daniela sat across from Seo-jun, watching his face in the dim cabin light. He hadn't spoken since they boarded. His jaw was tight. His eyes distant. The tattoo on his neck seemed darker somehow, more prominent against his pale skin. "Tell me," she finally said. "Whatever it is, tell me." He met her gaze. "My uncle is alive." The words hung between them. "The one who died in the fire." "The fire I ordered." His voice was flat. 15 years ago, he was planning to sell the empire to the Chinese triads. Split everything our family had built across 3 generations. I confronted him. He refused to back down. "So you?" I gave the order. No emotion. No regret. The warehouse burned. They found remains. Dental records confirmed his identity. But he survived. Apparently. Daniela's mind raced. How is that possible? Money. Influence. Desperation. Seo-jun's hands clenched on his armrests. He must have planned it. Switched the records. Bought someone in the coroner's office. Why wait 15 years to reveal himself? Because I was untouchable. His jaw tightened further. The empire was consolidated. My position was absolute. He had no leverage. And now? Silence. Then, now I have something to lose. His eyes dropped to her belly. Understanding crashed through her like ice water. He's going to use me. Use the baby. He'll try. What do we do? Seo-jun reached across the space between them. Took her hands in his. We dissipate. Temporarily. Until I can locate him and end this permanently. End this, she repeated. You mean kill him? Yes. No hesitation. No apology. She should have been horrified. Instead, she squeezed his hands tighter. Then we dissipate. Lagos, Nigeria. 2 days later. The Michael family compound had transformed into a fortress. Chief Michael's security team, already formidable, had tripled in size. Armed guards patrolled the perimeter. Surveillance drones monitored the surrounding streets. And in the main house, 3 families gathered around a mahogany table to discuss war. Chief Olumide Michael sat at the head, his expression carved from stone. Ngozi occupied her customary position at the opposite end, calm but alert. Daniela's sisters lined one side, Amora pale with fear, Ifunanya coldly analytical, Adiz radiating protective fury. And across from them, Lee Seo-jun, flanked by 2 men who had flown in from Seoul overnight. Park Minute-ho, his former co-pilot and current head of legitimate operations, and Kang Tae-sung, his chief of security. Let me understand this correctly, Chief Michael said slowly. Your presumably dead uncle has resurfaced after 15 years with the apparent intention of destroying everything you've built, including my daughter and grandchild. Yes, sir. And you brought this danger to my family. Unintentionally. But yes. Chief Michael's eyes narrowed. I should have you removed from this compound. From this country. From my daughter's life entirely. Papa, Daniela started. I'm not finished. Her father's voice cracked like a whip. I accepted you, Lee Seo-jun, because my daughter loves you. Because you showed willingness to change. Because I believed, perhaps foolishly, that your past wouldn't follow you into my home. Seo-jun said nothing. There was nothing to say. However, Chief Michael leaned back. I'm not a man who abandons family. And whether I like it or not, you are now family. The tension in the room shifted. What resources do you need? Seo-jun exhaled slowly. Intelligence, primarily. My uncle has been hiding for 15 years. He has networks I don't know about. Allies I can't predict. And you believe he's operating from somewhere in Africa. The call was routed through Lagos. Every head turned. Is he? Amora's voice pitched high. In Lagos. Possibly nearby. The routing could be a misdirection. Or it could be a declaration, if Unanya cut in. He's telling you he can reach us anywhere. Yes. Chief Michael's expression hardened further. Then we find him first. 1 week later, the intelligence came in fragments. A financial transaction in Johannesburg linked to a shell company with Korean ownership. A rumored sighting of a scarred Asian man in a Lagos nightclub. Whispers of a new player entering the West African weapons trade. Someone with connections to both Asian syndicates and local militias. Seo-jun processed each piece of information with mechanical precision. But the strain was showing. Daniela found him on the compound's rooftop terrace at 3 in the morning, staring at the city lights. You haven't slept in 4 days. I've slept. 2 hours. Maybe 3. She moved to stand beside him. That's not enough. It's enough until this is over. And if it takes months, years. He didn't answer. She touched his arm. The baby needs you healthy. I need you healthy. I can't rest while he's out there. His voice was rough, strained. Every moment I sleep is a moment he could be moving, planning, getting closer. And every moment you exhaust yourself is a moment you become vulnerable. She stepped in front of him, forcing him to meet her eyes. Your uncle wants you destabilized, reactive, making mistakes. I don't make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes when they're desperate. His jaw tightened. I'm not desperate. You're terrified. Her voice softened. And that's okay. I'm terrified too. But we can't let fear drive us into self-destruction. For a long moment, he simply looked at her. Then his shoulders sagged almost imperceptibly. How do you do that? Do what? See through everything. His hand rose to cup her face. I've spent my entire life controlling what people see. Building walls. Projecting strength. I know. You see past all of it. Because I love what's behind the walls. She turned her head to kiss his palm. The real you. The one who's scared. The one who loves deeply even when he doesn't know how to show it. I don't deserve you. You keep saying that. Because it keeps being true. She smiled despite everything. Come to bed. 4 hours. That's all I'm asking. And if something happens while I'm sleeping, then your security team handles it. That's what they're here for. He hesitated. Then, 4 hours. 4 hours. She took his hand and led him inside. He was asleep within minutes, the first deep sleep he'd had since the phone call. She watched him for a long time, watching his face relax, watching the tension drain from his features, watching the man she loved finally let down his guard. And she made a silent promise. Whatever was coming, she would face it beside him. No more running. No more separation. They would survive this together. Or not at all. 3 days later, the first attack came without warning. Daniela was walking through the compound's garden, a daily ritual her doctor had recommended for her pregnancy, when the world exploded. Not literally, but close. The security checkpoint at the eastern gate detonated in a ball of flame. Alarms screamed. Guards swarmed. And through the smoke and chaos, Daniela saw them. 6 figures in black tactical gear, moving through the breach with military precision. Get down. Strong hands grabbed her from behind. Kang Tae-sung, Seo-jun's security chief, threw himself over her, shielding her body with his own. Gunfire erupted around them. She couldn't see, couldn't hear, could only feel her heart pounding against her ribs, feel the baby kicking in panic inside her. Extraction team. Tae-sung shouted into his radio. Package compromised. South Garden. Now. More gunfire. A scream cut short. Then, Daniela. Seo-jun's voice. She looked up to see him sprinting across the garden, a weapon in each hand. He moved like death itself. Fluid. Unstoppable. Terrifying. The first attacker who crossed his path dropped without making a sound. The second tried to aim. Failed. The third turned to run. Didn't get 3 steps. Within 30 seconds, all 6 attackers were down. Seo-jun reached her. His hands ran over her body, checking for injuries, for blood, for any sign of harm. Are you hurt? No. No, She couldn't stop shaking. The baby, I think the baby's okay. We're getting you out. Now. He lifted her into his arms as if she weighed nothing, carried her toward the main house at a dead sprint. Behind them, the compound erupted into full defensive mode. But all Daniela could focus on was his heartbeat against her cheek. Racing. Terrified. Human. 2 hours later, the doctor confirmed what Daniela already knew. She and the baby were unharmed. Shaken. Traumatized. But physically intact. The same couldn't be said for the compound. 3 guards were dead. 7 more injured. The eastern gate was destroyed, and the perimeter had been breached for the first time in 20 years. Chief Michael was incandescent with rage. This is your fault. He jabbed a finger at Seo-jun across the conference table. Your enemies. Your uncle. My home destroyed. My men dead. I know. You know. Chief Michael's voice rose. That's all you have to say. What would you like me to say? Seo-jun's tone remained flat. Controlled. That I'm sorry? I am. That I'll fix this? I will. But nothing I say will bring back your men or undo the damage. Then what USE are you? Papa. Daniela's voice cut through the tension. Stop. Every head turned to her. She stood in the doorway of the conference room, one hand braced against the frame. This isn't productive. Blaming each other won't help. Daniela, you should be resting. I'll rest when I'm dead. She moved to the table. Right now, we need to focus on one thing. Finding Lee Myung-ho before he strikes again. Chief Michael's jaw worked, but he didn't argue. The attackers, Daniela continued. Were any captured alive? Silence. 1, Kang Tae-sung finally said. Barely. He's in the medical wing under guard. Then we question him. He's unconscious. Then we wait until he's conscious. Daniela's voice hardened. And when he wakes up, we extract every piece of information he has. She looked at her father. I learned interrogation from the best. Remember? Chief Michael's expression flickered. Something almost like pride crossed his features. You are always too much like me, he muttered. Is that a complaint? It's an observation. She almost smiled. Then let's observe together. When the prisoner wakes, I want to be there. Absolutely not. Seo-jun's voice was steel. You're not going anywhere near. I wasn't asking permission. Her eyes met his. This is my family, my home, my life. I'm not hiding in a bedroom while everyone else fights my battles. You're pregnant. I'm aware. The stress alone will be far worse if I spend the next hours feeling helpless and afraid. She touched his arm. I need to do something. I need to be useful. He stared at her. She stayed back. Chief Michael watched the exchange with narrowed eyes. Finally, Seo-jun exhaled. You observe only. You don't participate in the interrogation. You stay behind protective glass at all times. Agreed. And if your blood pressure spikes, you leave immediately. Agreed. He held her gaze a moment longer, then nodded once. Fine. 6 hours later, the prisoner woke screaming, which, given his injuries, was understandable. Daniela watched from behind one-way glass as the man, Korean, mid-30s, heavily tattooed, thrashed against his restraints. Seo-jun entered the interrogation room alone. No guards, no weapons visible, just him. The prisoner's screaming stopped. You know who I am. Not a question. The prisoner's eyes widened. You know what I'm capable of. Silence. So let's skip the part where you pretend to be brave. Seo-jun pulled a chair close to the bed. Saturday. Tell me everything about my uncle, and I'll make sure your death is quick. I don't. That's the wrong answer. Seo-jun didn't move, didn't raise his voice. But something in the room changed. The temperature seemed to drop. The prisoner started talking. Lee Myung-ho had been building a shadow network for years. Slowly, patiently, recruiting disillusioned members of Seo-jun's own organization, cultivating contacts in the African underworld. His base of operations was in Angola, a port city called Luanda. He had 30 men, maybe more, and he had one specific target, Daniela Michael Lee. Why her? Seo-jun's voice was ice. Because she's your weakness. The prisoner coughed blood. Kill her, and you break. The old man said so. Said you'd burn the world down if she died. Burn yourself down too. Behind the glass, Daniela's hand moved unconsciously to her belly. He wants me to self-destruct, Seo-jun said quietly. He wants the empire back. Says it was always supposed to be his. Says you stole it. I inherited it. After you tried to kill him. The prisoner laughed weakly. Guess the fire didn't take. Seo-jun was silent for a long moment. Where exactly in Luanda? I don't know the address. I just know it's near the port. An old warehouse compound. Security details. Heavy. His paranoid. Has been since the fire. Communication methods. Encrypted satellite phones. Changes the frequency every 48 hours. Seo-jun stood. Thank you for your cooperation. Does this mean? Quick. Like you promised. Seo-jun walked to the door. Paused. I lied. He left. Behind the glass, Daniela watched the prisoner's expression crumble into despair. She should have felt pity. She felt nothing. Later that evening, Luanda. Chief Michael spread maps across the conference table. I have contacts there. All interests. How reliable? Seo-jun asked. Reliable enough. I can get eyes on the port district within 24 hours. We need more than eyes. We need assault capability. That's more complicated. Chief Michael rubbed his jaw. Angola isn't Lagos. My influence is limited. What about mercenary contractors? Possible, but expensive and unpredictable. I'll cover the expense. The unpredictability remains. Silence fell over the room. Ngozi, who had been listening quietly from the corner, spoke for the first time. There may be another option. Every head turned. My brother, she continued. Emmanuel. He served in the Angolan Civil War. Intelligence work. Uncle Emmanuel. Amora's eyes widened. The one who never talks about his past. The very same. Ngozi's expression was unreadable. He retired 20 years ago. Moved to Cape Town. But he still has contacts in Luanda. Old military connections. Chief Michael's face shifted. Ngozi, your brother is dangerous. Yes. She met her husband's gaze, which is precisely what we need. Cape Town, South Africa, 3 days later. Emmanuel Adeyemi lived in a modest house overlooking the Atlantic Ocean. Nothing about the property suggested its owner had once been one of the most feared intelligence operatives in southern Africa. Which, of course, was the point. Daniela had never met her uncle. He had been a shadow in family conversations, mentioned occasionally, never explained. A ghost at family gatherings who never actually appeared. Now she understood why. Emmanuel met them at the door. He was tall like her mother, elegant despite his 70 years, with silver hair and eyes that missed absolutely nothing. Ngozi. He embraced his sister briefly. You look well. I look exhausted. Don't flatter me. A ghost of a smile. His attention shifted to Daniela. The pregnant one. Your mother's favorite. I'm not. Don't argue. I have sources. His gaze moved to Seo-jun and the Korean husband. The black crown. Seo-jun inclined his head. You know of me. I know everything about everyone who enters my family's orbit. Emmanuel stepped back. Come inside. We have much to discuss. 2 hours later, the plan took shape around Emmanuel's kitchen table. Maps of Luanda, satellite photographs of the port district, diagrams of the warehouse compound where Lee Myung-ho had established his base. Emmanuel's contacts had been thorough. 32 confirmed hostiles, he reported. Mix of Korean nationals and local mercenaries. Heavy weapons. Surveillance equipment. The compound has 3 entry points, all heavily guarded. What about extraction routes? Kang Taesung asked. Limited. The port access is the most viable, but it requires naval support. We don't have naval support. We might. Emmanuel pulled out another photograph. This is Captain Yeboah. Ghanaian Navy, retired. He owes me several favors. His vessel is currently docked in Walvis Bay. A warship. A patrol boat. Armed but not military grade. Enough for extraction. Not enough for assault. Seo-jun studied the maps. The assault team goes in by land. Neutralizes the compound. Retrieves my uncle, alive if possible. Why alive? Chief Michael asked. Because I need to know the full extent of his network before he dies. And if capturing him alive isn't possible, then I'll settle for dead. Emmanuel nodded slowly. I can assemble a team. 12 men. Former special forces from 3 different countries. Loyal. Discreet. Expensive. Money isn't an issue. I noticed. Emmanuel's eyes glinted. Your husband is very wealthy, niece. Is standing right, hey? I'm aware. Emmanuel turned to Seo-jun. The team will need 72 hours to assemble. Another 48 for reconnaissance. The assault itself. 1 night. Maybe 2. When can we begin? Tomorrow. If you wire the initial payment tonight. Consider it done. Emmanuel smiled. It was not a comforting expression. Welcome to my world, Black Crown. I hope you survive it. Luanda, Angola, 6 days later. The assault began at 0200 local time. Daniela watched from a safe house 3 kilometers away, monitoring communications with her uncle and a team of technicians. She had wanted to be closer. Seo-jun had refused. You're 6 months pregnant, he had said. You're not going anywhere near combat zone. I won't be in combat. You'll be newbie. That's enough. They had argued for an hour. She had lost. Mostly because he was right, and she hated admitting it. Now she sat in the humid darkness, listening to radio chatter and trying not to imagine her husband bleeding out in some Angolan warehouse. Alpha team in position. A voice crackled through the speakers. Bravo team, standing by. Sniper overwatch confirmed. Emmanuel's voice cut through. All teams, weapons free on my mark. Silence. Mark. Gunfire erupted. The radio exploded with voices, commands, confirmations, the occasional scream. Daniela's hands clenched. Eastern perimeter breached. 2 hostiles down. Bravo team advancing. Contact left. Contact left. Neutralized. Moving to primary structure. Minutes stretched like hours. Each burst of static could be news. Good news. Terrible news. Primary structure clay. Moving to secondary. Sniper reports movement in the north building. Acknowledged. Redirecting. Wait, that's not. An explosion, transmitted through the speakers. Daniela's heart stopped. Report. Emmanuel's voice, sharp with authority. All teams, report. Silence. Then, Alpha lead here. Explosion was controlled. Enemy munitions depot. Collateral damage minimal. Crown status. His. Hold on. Daniela stopped breathing. Crown is advancing on the north building. Shit, he's going in alone. What? He's not responding to commands. More gunfire. More chaos. Then, Crown has the target. Repeat, Crown has the target. Myung-ho is in custody. Daniela exhaled so hard her vision blurred. Extraction initiated, Emmanuel reported. All teams fall back to rendezvous point. It was over. Or at least, this part was over. 3 hours later, Seo-jun returned covered in blood. Not his own. At least, not most of it. Daniela met him at the safe house entrance. Took one look at his face. And said nothing. Some moments didn't need words. He pulled her into his arms and held her so tightly she could barely breathe. It's done, he murmured into her hair. Your uncle. Alive. In custody. What happens now? Now I get answers. He pulled back. His eyes were cold again. The black crown, fully present. And then I end this. Permanently. The interrogation of Lee Myung-ho lasted 3 days. Daniela wasn't permitted to observe. She didn't argue. Some things, she understood, needed to stay in the darkness. What emerged from those 3 days was a complete picture of a husband's uncle, his betrayals, his schemes, his obsessive hatred of the nephew who had taken everything from him. Myung-ho had spent 15 years rebuilding. Slowly, patiently, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. That moment, he believed, had come when Seo-jun fell in love. Love makes you weak, Myung-ho had reportedly said during the interrogation. It gives your enemies leverage. I knew you would eventually care about something more than the empire. I just had to wait. And now? Seo-jun had asked. Now you'll kill me. But you'll never be free. The empire will always demand more. More blood. More sacrifice. More of your soul. Perhaps. There's no perhaps. I know because I lived it. The crown destroys everyone who wears it. Then I'll destroy the crown. Silence. You can't. It's who you are. Watch me. 2 days later, Lagos. Lee Myung-ho was executed at dawn. No ceremony. No witnesses beyond those required. A single shot, and 15 years of plotting ended in silence. Seo-jun didn't watch. He stood on the rooftop of the Michael compound, watching the sun rise over Lagos, and thought about what came next. Daniela found him there an hour later. It's done. Yes. How do you feel? He considered the question. Empty, he finally said. I expected to feel something. Relief. Satisfaction. Instead, there's just nothing. That might be normal. Nothing about any of this is normal. She stood beside him. Didn't touch him. Didn't push. Just existed. Beside him. What happens now? She asked eventually. Now. He exhaled slowly. Now I do what I told him I would do. Which is? Destroy the crown. She turned to look at him. What does that mean? The empire, the network, the operations, all of it. I'm dismantling it. Completely. Transferring assets to legitimate businesses. Closing operations permanently. Eliminating the infrastructure that made me what I was. Can you do that? It will take years. Maybe decades. But yes. Why? He finally looked at her. Because he was right about one thing. The crown destroys everyone who wears it. And I refuse to let it destroy our child. Her eyes burned with sudden tears. Seo-jun, I chose you over the empire a long time ago, he continued quietly. I just didn't know how to let it go. Now I do. What changed? Myung-ho showed me what I could become if I held on too tightly. His jaw tightened. Bitter. Obsessed. Willing to destroy everything for power. I refused to be that man. She reached for his hand. Laced her fingers through his. You never were that man. I could have been. But you're not. She squeezed gently. You're the man who searched for me across 4 continents. The man who flew me safely across oceans. The man who held me in the darkness and promised me forever. Forever is a long time. Then we'd better get started. He almost smiled. Almost. Where do we begin? Anyway. She leaned into him. As long as we begin together. 3 months later, Seoul. The baby arrived on a winter morning, with snow falling softly outside the hospital windows. A girl. They named her Minji, meaning wisdom in Korean, and Adise, meaning princess in Igbo. Minji Adise Lee, a name that bridged two worlds. Just like her parents, Seo-jun held his daughter for the first time with trembling hands. His face, always controlled, always composed, crumbled completely. "She's perfect," he whispered. "She has your eyes. And your spirit." He looked at Daniela. "I can already tell. She's 3 hours old. I'm her father. I know these things." Daniela laughed despite her exhaustion. "You're ridiculous. I'm in love." He leaned down to kiss the baby's forehead. "With both of you. Completely and irreversibly." 1 year later, the transformation of Lee Seo-jun from criminal kingpin to legitimate businessman was neither quick nor easy. There were complications. Rival factions who resisted the empire's dissolution. Former allies who felt betrayed. Government agencies who suspected the sudden pivot was merely a cover. But piece by piece, the Black Crown disappeared. Operations shut down. Assets liquidated. Leadership transferred to carefully vetted successors, men and women who would take the network in legitimate directions. By Minji's first birthday, the empire that had once spanned 4 continents had been reduced to a collection of legal business holdings. Airlines, hotels, technology companies, real estate, all clean, all legitimate, all his. The birthday party was held at the Michael compound in Lagos, a celebration that merged Korean tradition with Nigerian joy, bright colors, loud music, and more food than anyone could possibly eat. Minji, dressed in a tiny hanbok patterned with African wax prints, babbled happily in her grandmother Ngozi's arms. Daniela's sisters doted on their niece relentlessly. Chief Michael, softened considerably by grandfatherhood, pretended to be dignified while secretly making ridiculous faces at the baby. And Seo-jun. Seo-jun stood at the edge of the celebration, watching his family with an expression that still surprised Daniela every time she saw it. Peace. Complete, unguarded peace. She joined him under the sprawling mango tree at the garden's edge. "You're doing that thing again." "What thing?" "Standing apart, observing instead of participating. Old habits. Bad habits." She tugged his hand. "Come dance with me." "I don't dance." "You do now." "Daniela." "No arguments. Your daughter is watching." He looked at Minji, who was indeed watching them with wide, curious eyes. "She's judging me. She learned it from her grandmother." He almost smiled. "One dance. One dance." He let her lead him toward the music, a blend of Afro beats and Korean ballads that somehow worked perfectly together. They swayed in the afternoon light, surrounded by family, surrounded by love. "I never imagined this," he murmured. "Imagined what?" "Any of it. The family, the peace, the happiness." His arm tightened around her waist. "For 36 years, I believed I was destined for darkness, that the empire was my only legacy. And now I know I was wrong." He pulled back to look at her. "You showed me something different was possible. You chose it yourself, because you made me believe I could." She reached up to touch his face. "We chose it together." "Together," he agreed. Across the garden, Minji squealed with delight as Amora made silly faces at her. Ngozi laughed at something Chief Michael said. The sun continued its descent toward the Lagos horizon. And in that moment, everything was exactly as it should be. Epilogue. 5 years later. The little girl with the serious eyes and the wild curly hair stood at the edge of the airfield, watching her father's plane descend through the clouds. Minji Adise Lee, age 5, was already showing signs of both her parents. Her mother's warmth and emotional intelligence. Her father's quiet intensity and strategic mind. A combination that would one day make her formidable. "Is Daddy landing the plane himself?" she asked. Daniela smiled. "He always does." The aircraft touched down flawlessly, because of course it did, and taxied toward the private hangar where they waited. Seo-jun emerged in his captain's uniform. He still flew. Not as often. Business and family made regular routes impossible, but enough to keep his skills sharp, his license current. Flying was the one piece of his old life he'd kept, the one thing that had always been pure. Minji broke free from her mother's hand and sprinted across the tarmac. "Daddy!" He caught her mid-leap, swinging her into his arms with a laugh that still startled Daniela every time she heard it. Lee Seo-jun laughing. A miracle she'd never tire of. "How was the flight?" Daniela asked as he approached, the daughter already chattering about everything she'd done in the 3 days he'd been gone. "Smooth." He kissed her softly. "Perfect weather all the way from Singapore." "And the investors?" "Impressed. The Seoul-Lagos direct route is officially approved. Starting next month." She grinned. "You actually did it." "We did it." He shifted Minji to one arm and pulled Daniela close with the other. "Everything I've built in the last 5 years, none of it would exist without you. Flattery will get you everywhere. I'm counting on it." Minji squirmed impatiently. "Can we go home now? Halmione promised me jollof rice and bulgogi." "Your grandmother is spoiling you," Seo-jun observed. "That's her job. She told me." "Did she?" "She also told me to tell you that grandfather wants to discuss business at dinner, but grandmother said no business at the table, so they're arguing about it." Daniela laughed. "Some things never change. Some things shouldn't." Seo-jun set their daughter down and took her hand. Took Daniela's hand with the other. "Ready to go home." Home. Once, that word had meant nothing to him. Now it meant everything. "Ready," Daniela confirmed. They walked toward the waiting car, a family forged across continents, cultures, and impossible odds. Behind them, the sun set over the airfield in shades of orange and gold. And somewhere in the sky, a plane climbed toward the clouds, carrying passengers who had no idea their pilot had once been a king of shadows, who would never know that the man who flew them safely to their destinations had chosen a different kind of power. The power of love. The power of family. The power of choosing, every single day, to be better than the darkness that once defined him. Thank you for joining us on this journey through love, danger, and redemption. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe to support more cinematic Afro-Korean romance content. Drop a comment telling us your favorite scene. Was it the airport rejection? The warehouse confrontation? The wedding that merged two worlds? We'd love to hear from you. And remember, love always finds a way home.